Hi, I'm Dr. Tallis Barker from waterfasting.org. I have many clients who come to me hoping to heal SIBO through water fasting. And what I tell them is a resounding yes. If there's one thing that water fasting can do reliably, it's to heal gut issues, and that does include SIBO. But I would also say that many of those very same clients, before they come to me, they've tried water fasting on their own, and actually they discover that they've ended up making their SIBO worse. So as much as water fasting is an incredibly powerful force for good when it comes to healing SIBO, you have to be very, very careful about how you go about doing the water fasting. And really, the whole emphasis of this video, I want to put on to just, there is no one size fits all here. You've got to take a very individualized approach. But if you do, and if you get it right, then really the sky's the limit in terms of healing from SIBO. Now, if you're interested in more background information on SIBO, I do have an article on the website, and I'll leave a link for that article in the section below. But as I've mentioned, I'd like to focus on the challenges of fasting with SIBO. And many of those challenges in the fasting element of healing SIBO originate in the challenges of SIBO itself. Now, one of the first things that happens when someone gets diagnosed with SIBO or they go to a doctor with the symptoms of SIBO is they get prescribed antibiotics. Now, antibiotics are great for killing the bad microbes which are causing the problems, but unfortunately they're also very good at killing the good microbes. Antibiotics do not really discriminate from one microbe to another gut microbe. And the problem with this is that as much as it may lead to a temporary cessation of symptoms, afterwards it's a little bit like using Roundup, a pesticide on your lawn. It kills everything, but afterwards effectively you've got open vulnerable soil to whatever weeds want to take its place, and really the strongest weeds tend to win. And the same thing applies here in SIBO, that once you have decimated your gut biome through antibiotics, very often it is the bad microbes which really gain ground. So the problem with that is that very often people end up going from sensitivity to even more sensitivities gut-wise when they have SIBO. And of course, as we're trying to prepare for a fast, that's going to lead to problems. We'll come back to that later. Now, another problem with SIBO is that because of all those gut sensitivities, people will try out typically what is called a low FODMAP diet, which is designed to minimize the number of foods which can cause problems. Now, as much as this in itself, again, deals with the immediate symptoms, the problems with low FODMAP diets over the long term is that because of the restricted range of foods that you're eating, very often this will lead to nutritional deficiencies. On top of that, there are nutritional deficiencies caused by the effect of SIBO itself. In SIBO, microbes which really belong in the large intestine migrate into the small intestine. And unfortunately, in doing so, they're able to feed off a lot of the nutrients of our food, which means that we don't get them, they get them. So you've got a problem of potential nutritional deficiencies coming from the limited low FODMAP diet itself, plus the direct effects of the SIBO. And again, the issue here is that when you've got nutritional deficiencies, there are potential repercussions for how your body's going to cope on a fast. Finally, one other problem which is definitely a potential problem after a fast is the issue of motility. And for certain people with SIBO, motility is a big issue as part of their everyday life symptoms. Now, when you choose fasting to heal from SIBO, you need to make sure, very sure, that your fast has been long enough to heal the SIBO, because the longer that you fast, the more your digestion goes into a deep hibernation, making it in any case slow, sluggish in coming back to life And if in any case you've got a problem with motility due to SIBO, getting that peristalsis going again can become a big problem if the fast has been long enough to shut down digestion, but not long enough to heal the SIBO. So you really do need to have a good sense of the length of fast that you're aiming at. I would say that in general, the ideal length for a fast to heal SIBO is somewhere between 14 and 28 days. But again, it's very, very individual, and that's going to depend on the individual circumstances of the individual case. Before the fast, there are often very big challenges when it comes to setting up a good dietary preparation. When you're fasting for 14 to 28 days, or for that matter, really for any fast beyond a couple of days, it is important to adapt your diet so that your digestion can switch off easily and your body can transition into its fasting metabolism as smoothly as possible. The problem here is that low FODMAP diets are really one of the worst possible diets to be on for a couple of reasons. Low FODMAP diets are heavy. And really, before a fast, what we're trying to do is lighten things up. So less energy is being expended on digestion, which will enable that energy to transfer over more easily to detox and healing during the fast. Low FODMAP diets are very low in fiber, whereas before a fast, in an ideal situation, we're actually looking to increase fiber content because fiber will help digestion to just move through slowly and surely and very steadily, emptying out the gut before digestion really shuts down in the first couple days of a fast. Of course, fiber for someone with SIBO is one of the worst things because fiber is food for those gut microbes which cause SIBO symptoms. On top of that, low FODMAP diets also tend to be quite acid forming. Now, I don't want to go into the details of all of that right now. That's a subject in itself. But before a fast, you're really looking to increase the alkaline content of your diet in order to help balance your tissue pH so that when you get a lot of acidic byproducts from the detox of the fasting emerging, you've got enough alkalinity in the body to balance things out, thereby lowering detox symptoms. So because of these restrictions, it's very, very important to try and strike a balance between what's good for the fast and what is good for the client who has SIBO, because you definitely don't want to suddenly put all those ideal pre-fasting foods in there because it's just going to make matters much, much worse for their symptoms before the fast. It really does take a lot of skill in getting it right. For most people with SIBO, the period of the fast itself is actually remarkably dull and uneventful. And this is just a wonderful thing because people with SIBO suffer so much in everyday life with discomfort and bloating and whatever the given symptom. It ruins their life. It really, really does. So to be freed from the problems caused by digestion by not eating is a huge relief for most people. In fact, I have many clients who will actually describe having higher energy levels, at least during the first week or two of their fast, than in everyday life because they're not expending a lot of energy in damage control within the gut, dealing with those SIBO symptoms. So physically, yes, the fast does tend to move through very smoothly. Psychologically, though, it's another question because so often with my clients, I see a lot of anxiety during the fast about what's going to happen after the fast. When somebody has been, well, for lack of a better word, traumatized by food, and just think about it. I mean, food is such an essential thing to our lives, and to have that kind of relationship with food where it's just causing you grief day in, day out, it's very, very difficult. So a lot of anxiety will exist towards how are we going to get back to food? How are we going to do it? And there's nothing in a way which will alleviate that anxiety until it is proven experientially that SIBO is healed through the fast. So I find that when I'm coaching clients with SIBO, a lot has to go into just reassuring people that it's okay. On top of that, there is another issue which compounds that anxiety, and that is certain health issues will heal during a fast very visibly. People with skin issues can literally witness day by day, almost in real time, how their skin issue is healing. It goes away and you can see it. People with tumors can see their tumor shrink during a fast. Gut healing, on the other hand, tends to take place invisibly. There are no overt physical signs that anything is happening. And precisely because of that lack of feedback from the body that something is happening, it's very, very easy to start second guessing yourself and developing doubts that the fast isn't doing anything, it's not helping. So a lot of faith is really necessary for someone with SIBO as they go through their fast. If it's important to make sure you've got right the dietary transition before the fast begins, then it's doubly important to make sure that you've really got a sound strategy for refeeding. I can't overemphasize the importance of this, because no matter how much healing may have taken place during a fast, if you get it wrong during the refeeding process, you can undo all that very, very easily. And fundamentally, it tends to be the reason why when a client comes to me having tried fasting and ended up in a worse place, it's because something has gone wrong with their refeeding strategy. So the problem here is that just before a fast, generally speaking, the foods which do not aggravate SIBO symptoms are absolutely the worst foods to break a fast with. What you're looking to break an extended fast with are light and high fiber foods. We've spoken about how those foods tend to be the worst for someone with SIBO. So you're challenging the confidence of someone with SIBO by saying, we are going to move towards foods which are not necessarily the standard low FODMAP foods. But the absolute key thing here is it absolutely has to be an individualized approach. I will have really quite in-depth discussions with every client about what has worked for them in the past, in order to make sure that what we're choosing are foods which are both good for breaking a fast and slowly getting back into refeeding, and those foods which will be least likely also to set off any SIBO symptoms if, for whatever reason, the fast hasn't reached completion in healing SIBO. Practically, it means that we're looking for probably only 2 or 3 individual foods to begin with to establish a firm, sound foundation digestively from where you can start to expand. Now, as I've mentioned, anxieties about the fast itself, yes, the refeeding period is going to be full of anxieties for anyone with SIBO, completely understandably. So this is all the more reason to go slowly, to go very carefully, and again, I've said it before, but I'll say it again, to take a very individualized approach in the refeeding strategy in order to make sure you do get it right and that you can enjoy the benefits that the fast has elicited through deep gut healing. One final note. It's really important to understand that very often SIBO coexists with other gut issues in the same person at the same time. And sometimes when you have designed a fast in order to heal from SIBO, yes, you will heal from SIBO, but if the fast itself hasn't been long enough to reach a full healing of all symptoms, it is possible for certain less invasive symptoms to remain, which can then be tackled on another fast at some future point. It's also worth noting that sometimes new smaller gut symptoms can develop after a major fast to heal any gut issue, actually. And this can be all part of the healing process, again, when a single fast is not capable of healing the entire picture. So the important thing here is to recognize is that An extended fast done well will heal SIBO. It may not heal all gut issues, but that is something which can be quite easily tackled on a future fast. And at that point, food is a good thing. I hope you found the video insightful about what it's like to fast with SIBO and of the challenges involved. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button, or even better, subscribe. If there are any issues I didn't cover, feel free to leave a comment and I'm always happy to respond. Thanks for watching.